Alex Mercer sat alone in the sparse confines of his apartment, the only illumination a flickering neon glow bleeding in from the rain-streaked city outside. The steady patter of rain against the window pane was a muted rhythm beneath the distant hum of hovercars and the ceaseless drone of digital advertisements that never ceased, even at this late hour. He leaned forward, elbows resting heavily on the cluttered desk, eyes scanning lines of text and fragmented video files on the holodisplay before him. These were relics from his past, a digital journal he had kept during the darkest stretch of his life when media addiction had nearly consumed him. The words blurred as memories flooded in, unbidden and raw. The relentless craving to immerse himself in the endless stream of true crime content, the escape it offered from an otherwise bleak reality, had once been a chain wrapped tightly round his psyche. He remembered the nights spent glued to fragmented live streams, the whispered narrations painting scenes of violence and despair in vivid detail. The digital spectacle had been a drug, and he, a willing addict. A sharp knock at the door jolted him from his reverie. Without waiting for an invitation, the door slid open to reveal Dr. Evelyn Shaw, a psychologist specializing in media addiction, who had agreed to meet with him after Lila case deepened into something far more sinister. "You're still burning the midnight oil," she remarked, stepping inside with her usual composed demeanor. Her steel-gray hair was pulled back tightly, and her eyes held the calmness of someone used to navigating chaotic minds. Alex gestured toward the holodisplay. "I needed to revisit this, to understand what I'm really up against." Evelyn nodded, pulling up a chair beside him. "The system thrives on people like you and, like Lila, those caught in the pull of spectacle, unable to break free from the endless cycle of consumption." Their conversation was a careful dissection of the psychological traps embedded in the media empire's design. Evelyn explained how the algorithms exploited dopamine loops, reinforcing compulsions that blurred lines between reality and digital fantasy. Alex listened intently, the parallels between his past and the current societal crisis becoming painfully clear. "It's not just about the murders," he said quietly. "It's about the addiction to watching them. The public's need to be part of the spectacle." Evelyn's eyes met his. "And that need is exactly what keeps the system alive." Later, walking through the neon-drenched streets, Alex felt the overwhelming assault of sensory stimuli. Holographic billboards, flashing vivid scenes of violence, snippets of live streams playing on every available screen, the cacophony of voices reacting, commenting, voting. The crowd around him was a sea of faces, illuminated by the glow of their devices, eyes glazed and unblinking. For a moment, Alex was pulled back to his own darkest moments, the crushing anxiety that had once gripped him in these very streets. He shook himself free, focusing on the mission ahead. The system was more than a media platform. It was a beast feeding on fear, addiction, and voyeurism. Back in his apartment, late into the night, Alex sat before a flickering screen, replaying archived footage of past livestream murders, ghostly echoes erased from public memory but not from his own. His face was bathed in the cold blue light, the weight of the system's cruelty pressing down on him. Yet beneath the haunted expression lay a growing determination. He would not let history repeat itself. His personal demons, once shackles, had become keys to unlock the system's darkest corners. With every painful memory confronted, Alex steeled himself to fight not just for Lila, but for a society trapped in a deadly addiction to spectacle. As the city outside pulsed with neon life, Alex Mercer prepared to plunge deeper into the shadows of the past, knowing that only by understanding the roots of media manipulation could he hope to sever its grip on the present. The night was far from over, and neither was the battle. The elevator descended with a mechanical groan, the soft hum of the city above fading into a low, pervasive drone. Alex Mercer's eyes flicked to the glowing interface embedded in his wrist, a countdown timer silently marking the seconds until the next security sweep. Below the neon-lit streets, buried deep within the labyrinthine core of the city, lay the heart of the livestream platform, a fortress of servers and secrets, where the pulse of the digital spectacle beat strongest. The air was thick with the sterile chill of conditioned machines, and the walls pulsed faintly with the rhythmic blink of countless LEDs. Alex's boots echoed against the concrete as he moved swiftly, guided by the encrypted access codes Mara Voss had smuggled him. Each swipe and key press was a calculated dance, bypassing firewalls and security protocols designed to guard a truth too dangerous for public knowledge. "You're really doing this?" Mara's voice crackled softly through the COM channel, an undercurrent of disbelief threading her tone. Alex didn't reply immediately. His focus was absolute, the stakes now clearer than ever. The scheduled murders, the public votes, the insatiable media addiction, all orchestrated from this very nexus. The whispers he'd chased through the dark web and shadow forums were no longer rumors, but cold, hard reality. A sudden flicker on the holodisplay caught his eye, a security drone's patrol pattern shifting unexpectedly. Time was running out. He ducked behind a server rack, the scent of ozone and heated circuits filling his nostrils. From this vantage, he accessed a terminal and initiated a deep probe into the platform's command hub. Lines of code cascaded down the screen, revealing layers of manipulation and control. Viewer engagement metrics were weaponized, votes rigged by shadow accounts and AI algorithms. The masterminds were no faceless entities, but individuals, Elias Crane and his inner circle, puppeteers who thrived on the public's darkest appetites. Suddenly, the room's lighting dimmed, and the holographic interface shimmered to life before him. The AI known as Juno materialized in vaporwave hues, a digital specter of shifting triangles and glitching waves. Unauthorized access detected, it intoned, voice modulated with unnerving calm. "I'm not here to fight," Alex said, voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. "I want to understand." Juno's form twisted, colors bleeding into one another as it offered cryptic data streams and fragmented truths. Alex navigated the maze of misinformation, piecing together the extent of the corruption, how the system exploited media addiction, manipulated public voyeurism, and commodified death for profit and control. The silent alarm pulsed in his earpiece. Security was closing in. He grabbed a data shard containing the core files and bolted, heart pounding as he retraced his steps through the dim corridors. Outside, Mara waited in the shadows, her expression grim but resolute. "You found them," she said, voice low. "The real players." Alex nodded, the weight of revelation pressing down like the neon-lit cityscape above. This was no longer just a case. It was a war for the soul of society itself. As they disappeared into the night, the digital screens across the city flickered, broadcasting the next scheduled event, a public spectacle that would push the boundaries of obsession and cruelty. But now Alex held the key to unraveling the network's core. The question was whether the truth would be enough to shatter the system before it consumed them all. The countdown was far from over. The city was alive in a way that felt less like vibrancy and more like a fever dream. Neon lights splashed over rain-slicked streets, casting surreal hues of electric pink, cyan, and purple onto the faces of those who stared upward, their eyes reflecting the giant billboards that dominated the skyline. The countdown ticker was the centerpiece. 36 hours. then 24, then 12, and now just under 6 hours until Lila's scheduled murder streamed live to millions. Alex Mercer moved through the press of the crowd with a practiced ease born from years of navigating the city's underbelly. Yet tonight, every step felt heavier, the weight of inevitability pressing on him. Around him, phones buzzed, fingers tapped screens incessantly, and the collective anticipation was almost tangibly public frenzy feeding on itself, ravenous and unyielding. "It's like watching a slow-motion train wreck," murmured a voice beside him. Alex turned to find Jox, his hacker ally, eyes darting between multiple devices, hacking into the undercurrents of the livestream platform. "Except, this one's real," Alex replied grimly, glancing toward the towering holographic displays that broadcast Lila's face, calm, defiant, but undeniably marked by fear. "And there's no rewind button." Inside the sleek media control room high above the city, Mara Voss sat at the center of a command throne, her fingers gliding over holographic controls as charts and viewer statistics danced before her eyes. A cold smile crept across her lips with every spike in the ratings. She was the puppeteer of this grand spectacle, orchestrating the narrative with ruthless precision. For her, the public's addiction to true crime was a goldmine, and tonight's event was destined to shatter all previous records. "Increase the teaser frequency," Mara commanded, her voice smooth and unyielding. "Feed the anticipation. Let them hunger for more." Back in the cramped apartment that served as their makeshift war room, Alex and Jox worked feverishly. The walls were lined with tangled cables, blinking servers, and flickering screens. Jox's fingers flew across the keyboard, attempting to breach the live stream's back end. If we can insert a disruption, maybe a countdown glitch or a flash of corrupted datawit could break the flow. Confuse the viewers long enough to buy us time, Jox explained, eyes not leaving the code scrolling past. Or it could backfire, Alex countered. Mara's network is built to adapt. They'll come down on us hard. We don't have a choice. If we don't try, Lila's death becomes just another performance, Jox said, determination sharpening his words. Meanwhile, on a rooftop overlooking the sprawling cityscape, Lila stood alone. The cold air crystallized her breath into small clouds as she gazed out over the pulsing lights and the sea of people gathering below. Despite the terror clawing at her chest, there was a fire in her eyes, a quiet determination that refused to be snuffed out. "Alex," she whispered into her comm link, voice steady despite the storm of emotions. "Whatever happens, don't let this be the end." Alex's response was swallowed by the static, but his resolve was firm. The public spectacle was nearly unstoppable, a monstrous entity fueled by voyeurism and digital addiction. Yet, somewhere beneath the neon haze and the cacophony of the city, a rebellion flickered to life. Hours later, as the livestream began, the world held its breath. The screen exploded with color and sound, a cacophony of flashing cameras, screaming fans, and the cold, clinical voice of the host announcing the event. Alex and Jox's disruption attempt sent a ripple through the feed, a brief moment of chaos that sent viewers reeling and Mara's operatives scrambling. But the backlash was immediate and brutal. The platform's AI countermeasures locked down, isolating the glitch, and Mara's forces surged to hunt down the source. Alex's phone buzzed incessantly with warnings and intercepted threats. The game had escalated beyond control. As the crowd below chanted and the digital world watched with bated breath, Alex knew the battle was far from over. The spectacle was only just beginning, and the stakes were higher than ever. The neon lights flickered in the rain, shadows shifting in the corners of the city. Somewhere, in the swirl of pixels and screams, the line between justice and entertainment blurred irrevocably, and Alex Mercer was determined to tear it down, no matter the cost. The air in Alex Mercer's apartment was thick with the hum of neon. The city's glow bleeding through the slatted blinds in fractured shards of electric pink and blue. He sat slumped in the battered recliner, his eyes fixed on the holoscreen before him. The image flickered, a looping clip from last night's livestreamer murder broadcast to millions. The kind that had become a grotesque staple of society's morbid diet. The victim's face was frozen mid-scream, a haunting tableau of terror captured in unforgiving digital clarity. The crowd's reactions scrolled endlessly beneath the video gleeful emojis. Cold calculations of odds, and the casual cruelty of spectators turned voyeurs. Alex's jaw clenched as the weight of the spectacle pressed down on him. This was no longer just entertainment. It was a sickness, a collective wound festering beneath the skin of the city. He reached out and paused the stream, the image freezing on the victim's wide ISO mirror, reflecting the city's soul. He rubbed his temples, a slow burn of guilt igniting behind his eyes. How many times had he watched these streams, searched for clues, followed leads, only to become part of the machinery that kept the audience hooked? Complicity was a bitter pill, one he swallowed daily. A soft chime interrupted his thoughts. The message was from Juno. Meet me at the usual spot. We need to talk. The underground bar was a stark contrast to the polished neon towers outside, dim, cluttered, and smelling faintly of burnt coffee and stale sweat. It was a refuge for those who skirted the edges of the city's digital obsession. Alex found Juno seated at a corner table, her lavender hair catching the low light as she nervously tapped her fingers against a chipped mug. "You know why I called," she said, voice low and urgent. "The streams aren't just entertainment, they're addiction engineered at every level. The algorithms, the crowds, the vote rigging, it's all designed to keep people hooked." Alex nodded slowly, the weight of her words settling in. "But people choose to watch. They want this." Juno's eyes hardened. "They think they do, but it's like a drug. The more you watch, the less you feel outside the screen. Real empathy fades. It becomes a game, a spectator sport where the victims lose their humanity." Around them, patrons refreshed their devices compulsively, eyes glazed, lips parted slightly in a trance. Alex felt a pang of despair. The city was drowning in apathy wrapped in voyeuristic pleasure, and he was caught in the undertow. Later that night, Lila appeared at his door, her usual confident demeanor cracked by an undercurrent of fear. "They're watching Alex," she whispered, voice barely audible over the distant hum of hovercars. "Not just the publica system itself. Every move I make, every word I say is scrutinized, dissected, turned into content. I'm not a person anymore. I'm a product, a show." Her hands trembled as she gripped the doorframe, the fluorescent street lamp casting jittery shadows on her face. Alex reached out, steadying her. "We'll find a way out, but you have to trust me." She nodded, but the fear lingered, a living thing between them. That night, as the city pulsed with restless energy, Alex found himself staring into the cracked mirror above his sink. The fractures sliced through his reflection like the fractured media landscape he was fighting against. His eyes, once sharp, now weary, searched for answers in the broken shards. Was he the hunter or the hunted? The savior or the enabler? The question gnawed at him, a relentless echo in the hollow spaces of his mind. The true crime livestream culture was more than an addiction. It was a mirror held up to society's darkest impulses. And now, caught in the web of public voyeurism and digital manipulation, Alex knew that exposing the truth would demand more than just courage. It would require him to confront the very parts of himself he had long avoided. As dawn crept over the horizon, painting the city in pale hues, Alex made a silent vow. The spectacle would end, one way or another. But the path ahead was shrouded in shadows, and the line between justice and obsession blurred with every step he took. The screen flickered back to life with a new notification. The countdown to Lila's scheduled murder was ticking down faster than ever, and the world was watching. Alex swallowed hard, the weight of the city pressing down on him. There was no turning back now. The fight for truth and for Lila's life had only just begun. He turned away from the mirror, steeling himself for the war behind closed screens. Alex Mercer sat hunched over the flickering holographic interface, his fingers dancing across the translucent keyboard with practiced precision. The cramped apartment was bathed in a wash of neon purple and electric blue, the city's glow seeping through the cracked blinds. Around him, streams of code cascaded like digital waterfalls. The labyrinthine algorithms of the livestream platform laid bare by his hacker ally, Jox. The air was thick with the hum of machines and the faint scent of burnt coffee. "We're close," Jox muttered, his voice barely above a whisper, eyes scanning the lines of code racing across the screen. "If I can just inject this rewrite here, we'll start pushing the violent content down the feed." Alex nodded, though his gut twisted with the weight of uncertainty. The platform's algorithm was a beast fed by millions of viewers. Darkest impulses, a living entity shaped by collective desire and addiction. Breaking it meant more than a technical challenge. It meant challenging the very appetite that fueled their world. "Ready?" Alex asked. Jox's fingers paused, hovering. "Once we do this, there's no turning back. The system will adapt." With a final keystroke, the code integrated into the platform's core. Instantly, the city's digital landscape shifted. Screens across neon-drenched streets, cramped apartments, and sprawling megastructures flickered as the algorithm recalibrated. The gruesome live streams, the scheduled murders that had captivated millions, began to fade from trending lists. Across the city, reactions were immediate and electric. Chat rooms exploded with confusion and anger. "What's happening?" "Censorship. I want my Killstream." Messages flooded social feeds, hashtags spiked, and offline protests erupted with cries for freedom of choice. Lila watched from her shadowed corner, the glow of her tablet reflecting in her wide eyes. For a moment, hope blossomed, a fragile, hesitant thing. The digital chains that had bound her fate seemed to loosen, if only slightly. But the relief was short-lived. The platform's adaptive AI responded with a ruthless efficiency, pivoting to amplify alternate violent content, darker and more twisted. The public's hunger only deepened, fracturing into chaotic waves of outrage and despair. Alex stared out from a rooftop, the city sprawling beneath him like a circuit board pulsing with neon light. The digital storm he'd unleashed was unpredictable, a wild beast clawing its way free. He felt the weight of his gamble. Had he merely stirred the hornet's nest, or had he struck a blow for change? The night stretched on, filled with the crackle of digital warfare and the echoes of a society caught in the throes of its own addiction. In the heart of the storm, Alex knew the fight was far from over. But, for the first time, the possibility of breaking free shimmered on the horizon. Flicker of light in the endless neon night. "We've got to keep pushing," Jock said, eyes bloodshot from hours at the console. "This backlash, it's not just about the streams, it's about control. If the public senses any loss of power, they lash out." Alex rubbed his temples. "It's a powder keg. One wrong move and it all blows up. Then we make sure it's a controlled explosion, Jox replied. We need to steer the chaos, not just survive it. The room pulsed with urgency. The digital clock ticking down toward the next scheduled event, the one everyone feared the most. Alex glanced at Lila, her face pale but determined. We're not just fighting an algorithm, Alex said quietly. We're fighting a culture. Lila nodded, her voice steady despite the tremors beneath. Then let's change the rules of the game. Outside, the city's heartbeat quickened, neon lights flickering in sync with the restless digital tide. Somewhere deep in the network, the algorithm churned, forever adapting, forever hungry. And in the shadows, Alex prepared to face whatever came next.